One of the conditions of living together and working together is you need some refuge, some kind of escape. So we found this place, this really simple cottage in Connemara in the west of Ireland, and we come here to think, come here to walk, and come here to kind of regroup ourselves.
When we came back here to Ireland, we spent quite a lot of time looking at traditional ways of building in the landscape, looking at monastic settlements, looking at castles, tower houses, to try and find the kind of essential intelligence of how they're built in the landscape, and not interested in their detail or motif, which was easy because they were nearly all ruins anyway. So there was, they were left in a stripped down form. That something that's on the way to being built is not that different from something which is on the way to being deconstructed by time. So we developed a kind of what we would call a sort of strategy of subtraction and addition. So actually in the city block where the film centre is, the Quaker meeting hall, you came through a door in a street, went down a corridor and found unfolding this set of spaces and buildings seemed remarkably appropriate for a film centre that would be like a sort of magical place that unfolded.
Can we look at a few of your working methods in a bit more detail? How does each project begin?
So I think it begins with some kind of a visit and a kind of immersion physically and in other ways in the brief, and then I think we definitely work together on this. On the beginning of every project we would start sketching, overlaying on the site, thinking about what the site suggests in terms of its energy or its dynamic.
So Shelia's watercolour perspectives, which are an important part of our work, are based on computer drawings, or our cardboard models are based on measured drawings, but we always work on them by hand.
I mean, I think some of the issues we have to talk about are about landscape and gardens, and this school is probably unique in having that extraordinary Victorian orchard in place.
Which is also protected.
Which is protected. And so there's a very nice feeling, or there will be hopefully, that at the top of the site is this kind of wild garden where people can come out from the art room. St Angela's is a girls' secondary school, right, which has been there for 120, 30 years, and it's an amazing place with 3 or 4 protected structures built on this very steep hill.
I think it's our most intensely topographical project. It's like a topographical project with the volume turned up, and it's also our most intensely concentrated because it will end up with 3 old buildings and 3 new buildings, like a little hill town. We finished this competition and we entered it, and we'd no work in the office, and myself and Uli Shad had a plan to go to Rome in Uli's Volkswagen Beetle, and Jim said that would be very useful because actually he was going to fire us anyway because he had no work. And then we rang back to the office one day, got Jim on the phone. Where the hell are you? And we said, we're in Rome. And you know we're in Rome. He said, well, I've been looking for you everywhere. He said, we won the competition. Get back here. We were drawing the Blackwood competition the day Sterling died, and we got a phone call from the office to tell us that he had died. And I mean, we were extremely upset about it. And we didn't know what to do. And we just decided, do what he would do, just keep working. And that was the beginning of our beautiful relationship with the RIBA Awards.
But some people would look at your projects and they'd say, you've been incredibly lucky with your clients. Now the other way of it is to, no they wouldn't. The other way to look at it is to actually say, well, you've made them fall in love with you and that's why the projects work.
We've never had a decent break, I don't think. Because, I mean, we've only ever had...
some clients watching this,
No, seriously, I think I always think that we're working on, we're always on the stony road, if you know what I mean.
When we were working with the community group in Connemara West, we spoke about all the things we wanted the building to mean, from simple things like that the building responds to the form of a tree bending in the wind, to aspects of the construction and the structure, to the relationship with the landscapes, the relationship with the history, the tragic history of the Christian Brothers. We talked about all those things to all of the people on the board, all the local community, and people went along with it. They got it and they understood it.
If you look at the house we did in Howth for Veronica O'Kane, she had a pretty clear idea about what kind of house she didn't want. And in the course of those conversations, we once asked her to draw out the house that she thought she did want.
Because the client was so engaged in the process, the context was very clear in a way. And I think we designed Hoth pretty well completely from the inside or spatially without thinking about what it looked like on the outside.
When does form come into your thinking?
Pretty soon, pretty early. You kind of snatch it when it's passing. I mean, maybe the whole pursuit in architecture is a search for form. And most of the dissatisfactions of life are the feeling that things are not honed enough in their form. None of that says what form is, I realise, except it's the Holy Grail. I really do think that, when we started with the Sean O'Casey Centre, we had no idea at all of what we were going to do there.
We thought, okay, well, this is a single-storey building, and we always thought it would be courtyards. And then we said that, and they were really disappointed. They said, oh, no. This has got to be big. I said, well, it will be big, but it's kind of low. They said, no, we want a high building. I said, how? They said, the Docklands are giving us this building. They're building all these new banks and legal offices down on the river. We want our building to be visible as well.
Okay, let's talk about the manifestation of form then, if you like, the materiality of the building.
Concrete is the ultimate form because we're talking about cast in situ concrete here. Because you bring all the materials to the site, you set up a shutter, you pour it in, you take the shutter away, and structure is up, and the thing is rooted. It's rooted in the project in Derry, in the Culture Centre. We tried to envisage the concrete as predating the rest of the design, as if the concrete is the background against which all the other elements are displayed. You could blow it all away and you'd be left with a concrete shell, which would still contain the memory around which the building could regroup itself in a different design configuration.
That was true of the Navan House, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That principle of what's primary and what's secondary and was a kind of position finding project for us, and we have applied that probably in every project we've done since.
Let's look at brick.
But those are brick and concrete, those are the archaic materials of architecture. That's what the Pantheon is built out of.
The lyric is very, very site responsive scheme, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because it's between the street and the river, and it introduces the river to the street and the street to the river. The whole purpose of that project is to make a house for theatre where the people who are involved in producing theatre can have a kind of culture centre all their own, and that the visitor can feel that they're in a place where theatre is made from scratch.
So we were trying to make a building which would have that sense of dynamic, but also because as you come in you see the big window to the river and the trees, that there is a sense of destination. But in the Ranelagh School we were using recycled bricks, so that was kind of interesting. So the dimension at brick was one kind of thing, which is this given modular object set of bricks, because we managed to source a supply of bricks which are very beautiful from demolished prison officers' houses, and there were just enough.
Let's talk about glass.
In the Glucksman, we found ourselves in a situation where we had already defined the building as being, because it's built on a stepping piece of ground, on low ground, with a limestone escarpment at the back to the main avenue of the university and the river on the other side. And then raised up in the air over your head is the galleries. And then there's a space through which you walk, which is outdoor and is landscape and connects to this precious lower ground with the big trees in UCC campus.
The Glucksman is it's telling you about its situation. It's a tree house, it's a geological plinth, it's a bit of campus connection.
Mm.
It's also uncompromisingly pretty.
The Glucksman is quite pretty. But that's because we like drawing with elegant line, and it should be fluent, because if you're going to go out there and build in such a special place as the lower ground, you better know how to proportion a line.
Do you design with materials in mind, or do they follow from the design?
By and large, I would say we have a predisposition about a material.
The LSE Student Centre, the first day we visited the site, we just knew we were going to make a brick building there.
There was some critic spoke of LSE in terms of your tortured geometry.
It's a kind of, come on, let's take everything there is, like every single street, every single view, every single angle, every single geometry. Let's just let it rain, and bring it all on. This is a building with 15 different functions in it, and hardly any one of those functions needs the other. You don't need a gym to run a record station. But they all need each other to have a vibrant student life. So the password is overlap, if you like. Maybe we had too much expected that we might have the good fortune to win the Sterling Prize.
Yeah.
But we never expected that we would get the RIBA gold medal, because we've never built a big building, because we never probably put ourselves. We never imagined our names on that wall. Alvar Aalto said a great thing, I think, a consoling thing, is that it's impossible for an architect to change the world. We have to recognise this, but we can damn well set it an example. So I think whenever we're doing anything, in some way we're trying to bring it around so that it stands for something and it says it clearly. Not sure about here is just whether the paving should be coming out of this geometry or whether the paving should be steady to the street. We have this double life that we both teach and we work in the office. But there's a wonderful moment between the office and the teaching. And you have this little moment of escape if you're just in a cafe or on your bicycle or something in between. And suddenly the problem which was on your desk in the office is solved. I think we're getting away with something quite good.
Yeah, and it's on access with the Danube, so we have that unique perspective, which is
Budapest.
Yeah, Budapest.
So we read, we draw, we walk, we write, but probably all of it is architecture is throughout. Is the subject, is the music running through all of our head all the time, I think.